Welcome to episode 12 of The Wheelhouse. I am Andrew O. With me this week, Sterling Gavinski.
Hello.
Gus Reeves.
Hey.
And before we begin, I would just like to say, I got a haircut.
You
Oh
did?
my god, you did? Yeah, no, he totally did.
I didn't realize.
I was too busy looking at Gus's haircut.
Yeah,
I got
Gus
I got
shaved
a
his face.
facial haircut,
Yeah.
which was a mistake, to say the least.
And Sterling, he's wearing shorts.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I got a pants cut.
Moving on. That's the whole introduction.
What's the deal
We
with
just
airplane
end it
food?
there.
No, I'm
we'll
serious.
see you next week.
That's the whole introduction.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's do it.
If you've been listening for a while, you might be confused. Why is this introduction so short? It's because we got a lot to talk about.
Allegedly.
If this is your first episode, then you'll be wondering, I'm still confused. How does this work? Well, let me tell you. Every week, we each recommend a piece of media that the other two have not experienced. We go out, listen, watch, or play those recommendations, and come back and review them. This episode, we have 3 guest recommendations, 3 movie lovers. But first, it's time to review last week's recommendations, starting with my pick, Stevie Wonder's 1973 album, Innervisions, one of my favorite albums of all time.
Wow. How favorite?
How favorite?
Yeah,
Probably top 5.
Top 5.
Top
wow.
5?
Nice.
Holy shit. Okay.
I guess it's you're in top 5 too, right?
No, it's not my top 5, but it was good.
Yeah.
That's it. All right, next topic.
Texas Chainsaw.
Massacre 2.
It was bad.
Bad. I knew Andrew would hate it. I wasn't sure about Sterling, but he doesn't like it either.
We can talk
I was
about it
fine
later
with that.
after we talk about
Peasant's
shit,
Quest.
We're actually going to talk about Innervisions.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, let's touch on it a bit.
All right, Andrew. What's your history with Innervisions? Why do you like it so much?
Why do I like it so much?
Yeah.
There's no song on here I don't like. I think each one is just so masterfully crafted. Stevie Wonder is, I think, one of the greatest vocalists of all time. And just having that on top of these just really complex synth land soundscapes. In addition to covering a wide range of themes from, drug use to politics to living for the city, all the stuff.
To love and love and love, lots of love.
What?
Lots of love on this
I
album.
didn't expect all the the socio-political themes and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that's what Stevie Wonder was all about.
Yeah.
I thought he was more of like a lovey soul guy.
I just called to say I love you.
Who does he think he is? Marvin Gaye. Who really-
Exactly.
Yeah. Saying what's going on.
Why are you guys so sarcastic?
That's my personality.
I
man.
really liked it, but there's only one track I didn't like, which was Visions. Actually, I thought it was so
Really?
slow. I felt like this really strong Stevie personality in the first song,
Mm-hmm.
and then it like dipped down immediately, and I was like, oh, why right now? Like maybe at a different place. I don't know, but beautiful instrumentally, the track and the rest of the album.
Well, I disagree with that. I like the second track,
Mhm.
but
Visions.
so I can divide this album up
Okay.
into 3 different parts.
Ooh.
The first 3 tracks, the next 3 tracks, and the final 3 tracks.
It's like
It's
perfect
like
thirds.
it's like there are 9 songs.
It's like there are 9
Shit.
songs,
Just for you guys.
and each trilogy of songs gets better. I think the worst tracks are in the beginning, and I think the last 3 super strong. And I think the worst track on the album is the first track on the album.
Really?
Too high. Yeah.
So
I don't know.
I guess we could start going one by one. Yeah, Too High.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure. I mean, not that it's like a bad song. I don't I agree with you saying that there is no bad song on this album. I just think I don't know. It's not something I would ever like go out of my way to listen to.
It doesn't stand out for you.
It doesn't stand
Yeah,
out. to me.
the first 2 tracks, Too High and Visions, they weren't standouts for me when I first listened. I had to kind of do some repeated listenings to pick out some amazing parts. But I don't know. I think it has that cool bass line,
Mhm.
that
Yeah.
like kind of bouncy bass line.
I really like Too High.
Yeah.
Like, that one made me like really excited for the rest.
Happy 420. It is April 20th.
Exactly. Yeah. You can have some Innervisions of your own today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it has
Too
that
high.
kind of like bass line that kind of bounce upwards, but the chorus kind of descends in contrast to that. There's a couple times Stevie does stuff like that I love.
Yeah.
that dueling harmonica solo rocks.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's like.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but doesn't it like bleed into Visions, right? Like
Kind of like the last chord.
Yeah, a lot. Yeah,
Rings
goes
out for a
into-
second.
a lot of songs on here do.
yeah. So I like that a lot about this album, is that it kind of
Mm-hmm.
each song kind of carries over and whatnot. But yeah, I don't know what it is about Too High. It just didn't stand out to me.
Yeah.
You know?
No, I got that. It didn't stand up for me initially. And Visions was kind of like that too, because I think it is slower paced, and it is kind of contrasted with Too High. It's sort of more empty. You could even say ethereal.
Yeah, you could.
Yeah. Because it's all kind of, again.
Ethereal. I don't
Yeah.
know if I agree with that.
But
But
you're kind of
it's good.
joking how it's like in his mind. So
Whoa.
you kind of feel like you're in his headspace.
what do you mean in his mind?
Because it's like visions. Like it's like what he,
Innervisions.
yeah.
Whoa. Andrew's being an ableist right now.
So what did you think about this song, Gus?
What, Visions?
Yeah.
I liked it right off the bat.
Yeah.
And how I divided up 333.
Mhm.
I think this is the best of the three, personally. And I think just because I like slow and meandering tracks, because my favorite song on this album is kind of like that in the same vein
Mhm.
later on. But
If it's a song I'm thinking you like, I thought you were gonna hate that song.
Whoa.
I'd be
That's what I'm
surprised.
thinking.
Yeah, we'll get to
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
We'll get to that.
So Too High had those dueling harmonicas. Visions has like that dueling guitar going on.
Yeah.
It's really
I like
cool.
the part where he says milk and honey.
Milk and honey.
Yeah.
And there's also another cool part in the middle. We're kind of past the halfway point where it just goes to silent for a few seconds and then
Oh,
it comes
yeah,
back
yeah.
in. Yeah,
Fake
and
out.
thematically it's about Stevie creating this utopia in his mind that we should all aspire to.
Yeah.
So
Album
That's
art
what the
kinda
song's
looks
about?
like that.
yeah,
Really?
kind of, yeah.
Kind of looks like a golden Oz on the cover.
That's a little
It's sparkly.
narcissistic. But no problem, Stevie. You're still awesome.
Mr. Wonder.
Do you still think he's awesome after living for the city?
Why wouldn't I think he was awesome for that?
Because I don't know.
What's your beef with that song?
What's my beef with
It
that?
seems like you have some beef.
I don't have a beef with that song at all. It's I thought it was a little too long. I thought it could have been shorter. But again, I don't dislike any song on this album.
Mhm.
Gus, you just triggered me. It's one of my favorite tracks.
Good.
Yeah.
I'm gonna trigger
No,
Sterling a lot on this
I'll
one.
take it a
on
step
this
further.
Podcast.
Take it a step further. For me, it's pound for pound the best Stevie Wonder song, in my opinion.
Period?
Oh my god!
Yeah.
Wow!
Wow.
Holy cow!
I think this is amazing.
Pound
Yeah.
for pound.
Yeah.
I didn't even know.
Or
Pound.
note for note,
Nah, I'm not
rather.
gonna make that
Note
joke.
for note.
pound for pound.
Pound for pound.
Yeah.
Social commentary. You know,
Yes,
it's good.
You got that little skit in the middle,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
which
was,
is really,
that was
really
interesting.
cool. Yeah.
To say the least.
Interesting, to say the least.
Like I said, I think the track.
Why don't you say a little more?
Little too long. And could he have gotten rid of the skit? Maybe.
Oh,
Could he
you
have-
can listen to that single version.
Single version. Oh, there's a single version. I
Yeah.
didn't even know that.
Didn't
yeah.
have that
Oh,
skit.
maybe I would like the single version better.
I think that skit's great. Because it kind of. So the story for this song, it tells a little story about this black man from Mississippi,
Mhm.
moves to the city because he thinks it's gonna be all great and stuff. But then he gets mixed up in some stuff, racially profiled by the police, and ends up in jail for
Mhm.
10
Yeah.
years. And then
Brutal.
after that point, Stevie changes his voice to be like more gravelly and growly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that part.
Yeah, and it's kind of like sort of warning about this whole terrible social situation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's great storytelling. The vocals are great. The verse and chorus have equally great melodies to them, and again, just nailing the soundscape.
Yeah. Lyrics and melodies are like super well complemented by each other, and then also the harmonies and the upbeat instrumentals.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Just
a lot.
throughout the album.
It's probably yeah.
really
That's why I liked about Too High also. Like to me, those two are kind of similar because they're kind of the more upbeat, like
Mm-hmm.
up-tempo, positive sounding musical ones, other than the Spanishy one towards the end.
Mm-hmm.
That's my other favorite one.
Spanishy.
Spanish.
So
Right.
Moving to part 2 of Gus's Innervisions trilogy,
Yes.
Golden Lady.
Golden Lady.
Yeah.
The first time I heard Golden Lady, I was excited because I was like, oh yeah, I think I'm really gonna dig this song, and I like it, but it actually gets overshadowed, I think, by some of the later tracks.
Oh.
Of the trilogy or the entire album?
well, definitely the later three, but not Jesus Children. What's the one after?
All in Love is Fair.
All in Love is Fair.
Yeah.
No,
Higher
not
Ground.
Higher Ground.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. Higher Ground is my favorite of those three.
Mm-hmm.
But that I didn't realize that was. I like had listened to that song a lot as like a kid, just on oldies radio and whatnot, and I didn't realize that was Stevie Wonder or it was called Higher Ground. So
you thought it was Red Hot Chili Peppers?
Yeah.
What?
They cover the song, and it's on.
Oh, do
it's
they?
on their greatest hits.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I'd heard that version prior to this.
No, I never listened to Red Hot Chili Peppers until high school. So
Yeah,
there you go.
this song has like a cool fusion sound of the piano, the ARP synthesizer, and the bass. It's really a unique sound.
Golden Lady.
Yeah, and that sweet refrain. At towards the end, he keeps on like
That
bumping
sweet
it up high.
refrain.
Yeah.
Sweet refrain.
Sterling, you like it?
Yeah, I like Golden Lady, but it's my other least
favorite.
favorite on the album.
Dang.
Really?
Yeah,
Man.
I think it's pretty, and I think there's a lot to like about it. But for me, like what I like about Stevie Wonder, and especially on this album, like the highs
Yeah.
aren't too high. They're like the highs are so high, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then
Too
some of
high.
the low moments almost drift away. Honestly, for me, but other than that, I have very few complaints.
Then you must really like Higher Ground.
Higher Ground, yes,
Higher Ground is
probably
great.
my favorite
Yeah.
one.
Super
your
funk.
favorite on the album.
Probably, I'm not 100% sure.
It's got a super funky sound.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that a lot.
Apparently, it has clavinet and a Moog synthesizer for the
Yeah.
bass line.
That's like the stuff I like in Superstition, I think.
Mhm.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the kind of that's what I.
That's like signature Stevie.
Yeah.
1972 Talking Book. He like created that sound that no one had done at the time.
It's awesome.
Yeah, that's his sound. Thematically, it's about reincarnation, which is cool.
I didn't know that.
Man.
Which is interesting when you compare it to Jesus, Children of America, the next song.
Jesus, Children of America. I think this was probably played at Jim Jones's thing when he was serving Kool-Aid or something.
Oh,
No, but it's a good song.
Yeah.
Regardless, it's probably. I think it's one of like the lesser good tracks on the album. Towards the Andrew, Pastor's Child, Andrew. Different opinion.
What
Yeah.
do you think?
I think this is a really good song, and it has sort of retains that funk sound, but it's a little bit more dark.
Yeah.
It is.
I think it shows off Stevie's vocal range a lot. It's kind of subtle, but he starts pretty low and then progresses to get really high. And just the backing vocals on here are also great.
Yeah.
So
I feel like a big song. You know what I mean?
it sneaks up on you because it kind of starts slow.
Yeah.
And then it
It
builds.
does. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I like a good build.
You like a good build?
Jesus, Children of America.
Which is a weird title.
It is.
Because it seems grammatically incorrect. And there's one line.
Jesus, children. I don't
Yeah,
know
one of the
why.
first
A
ones.
few
funny.
grammatical confusions.
Yeah, one of the
Yeah.
first lines in the intro. Hello, children, Jesus loves you of America. It's like, that doesn't make any sense.
I'm trying to think. There's another moment on this album, but it's not the one that we were talking about earlier. There's another moment where he says something. I was like, "What the heck? Like, what are you talking about?" But I don't. I think it was either in Visions or one of the earlier tracks. But if it comes to me, I'll bring
Milk and Honeyland.
it. No, I love that.
All right. Gus's part 3 of Gus's Innervisions trilogy, starting with All in Love is Fair.
My favorite track.
Wow,
That was the
See,
one-
That's exactly I thought you were gonna hate this song.
Why? Why do you think I
Because
hate this
it
song?
sounds like Everybody Hurts by R.E.M. by Stevie Wonder. So I thought you.
No, I like this way better than Everybody Hurts.
Wow.
Yeah, I love the piano melody and whatnot. It sounds familiar. I don't know if I've heard this song before or not,
Is
but
it just like a single? Okay.
Yeah, Andrew shrugged for
Yeah,
the
it's,
people at home.
I can check.
But yeah, I thought the piano the piano progression was fantastic.
Yeah,
And,
the song overall is a lot more stripped down.
yeah.
Where it's just piano, drums, and some synth, but
Yeah.
it's really about focusing on Stevie's virtuoso vocal performance.
Virtuosity.
Yeah,
His virtuosity.
yeah, it's very moving.
Reminds
It
me,
is.
reminds
Very
me of Elton
emotional.
John, the piano stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say this is probably my favorite slower piece. Hands down,
I'd agree.
actually.
I agree.
Hands down.
Slower
I'm
piece
saying
on-
it now.
on the album?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Ever.
Ever.
Of all time.
All time.
Of all slow songs ever created, All in Love is Fair.
Yeah. No, really good one though.
Yeah. and it was not a single off Innervisions. Yeah.
Huh. Maybe it's in like a movie or something. I don't know. It just sounded like, I don't know. It sounded very familiar, and I was just like, I immediately got into it. I was like, yeah, there we go.
Next song, Don't You Worry About a Thing, which is definitely in movies.
Yeah, I was about to say, I've definitely heard this before.
This is the one you're talking about, Spanish influence, right? This one's great.
My other
that Latin
one.
piano.
Yeah. Ding, 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 ding. Is this in Silver Linings Playbook?
It is. I think
Aha!
so.
I knew it. When they're like during a dancing scene.
During the
okay.
dancing. Yeah.
I knew it.
There's
Go
a
figure.
fun little skit at the beginning. Stevie trying to impress someone with his Spanish or his like broken Spanish.
Yeah.
Cool percussion. It has like a shaker
Awesome
and bongos.
Yeah.
Yep. And we talk about them J. Reed heroin moments.
Yeah.
When he bumps it up an octave. Yeah.
Yeah, that. Also,
really?
like the chorus in general for me is so like memorable and it's so catchy. I think it's just an
Can you
incredible
perform
melody.
it for us right now?
It's unforgettable, but I can't remember how it goes.
You just forgot it
Yeah, just now.
just now.
Oh,
It's like
okay.
everybody. It's something like that.
And thematically,
That was it.
It's about positivity.
In
Really?
Spanish.
I didn't know. Yeah, I thought it was about Spanish people or something.
Nope.
No, not really. Yeah, great track, upbeat. I think it's you were liking the earlier upbeat songs. I think it's better than those.
Yeah,
but,
I'd agree.
I think
Except for Living for City.
I think Higher Ground and then this one.
Oh.
Really? Oh,
Yeah.
Oh
I
well,
think
well
so.
he said Higher Ground is his
Okay,
favorite, so
yeah.
that makes sense. Higher Ground
Those
is
are probably my two favorites.
Higher Ground is awesome. So.
It is, yeah.
Finally, he's Mr. Know-It-All.
Everything I like except for the word Mistra. What the hell is
Yeah,
Mistra?
is that just like an alter version of Mister?
I guess.
I guess like
Maybe it's like one of those like words that becomes a word, like not like slang, but like vernacular. You know what I mean?
I've never heard it
I have
before.
never
Okay.
heard it anywhere.
Because
else.
like when you're like reading a book and it's like from a different time and people are just saying a bunch of words and you're like, we don't use that. Maybe it's something
I
like
don't know.
that. I don't know.
I was not born in the 70s, so
This is probably my other favorite track.
yeah, this is probably my second favorite.
Yeah, this is my third favorite.
like I said, I love the last three, and this is no exception.
Yeah,
I
it's a very
I love the instruments.
yeah. The piano is very vivid.
Oh yeah, it's colorful.
Also, towards the end of the track, he just lets out this his inner beast in his vocals and whatnot. Oh, sounds so good.
Yeah. And again, a song about progression. It starts with that piano, very smooth, almost mellow vocals, and then it progresses and it gets pretty dope.
That's all I have to say.
Yeah. Bright, colorful, musical masterpiece, essentially.
What do you think about his lyrics?
In general,
Yeah.
Stevie Wonder's lyrics, I think they're very like perceptive.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think they're it's like really I like specific moments in storytelling, which is something he does pretty good. Yeah, I mean,
The
I
storytelling
guess.
aspects are interesting.
Yeah.
I think on like so even though I always forget how the song title goes. All in love is fair.
Yeah.
Is that it? Okay.
Which is confusing because
In
the first
lyrics,
line
yeah,
he says
all
is
all is
the
fair
first
in
line
love or
in the song
whatever.
is all is fair in love.
Yeah. Like I think the lyrics in like that song are pretty typical, so to speak.
Yeah.
But with that being said, I mean they work. They're not bad lyrics by any means.
Because Stevie is, I would say, not known for his lyrics, and he tends to sometimes be very sappy.
Sappy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So, but on here, I think it's a perfect blend. You know, mixing the social commentary with some of the more love-oriented ballads.
Yeah,
But-
I think Higher Ground, it's got like super solid lyrics,
Mhm.
super solid melody. Like it's very 50s almost, the lyrics. The people keep on trying. You know? And the performance too. But.
So, last thing for Innervisions. In August 1973, 3 days after the release of Innervisions, Stevie Wonder was sleeping in the passenger seat of a car, and someone else was driving, and it's kind of confusing exactly what happened, but for some reason, there was a truck in front of them that was carrying logs, and it braked, and the logs got dislodged. One went through the windshield and hit Stevie Wonder square in the forehead.
What
Oh
the
my
fuck?
God.
Yeah.
Holy how did he
His
live?
skull got fractured.
Oh.
He was in a coma, had a contusion, and his head was like super swollen.
Oh my God.
goodness.
And everyone was terrified, of course,
Yeah.
because this is Stevie Wonder, big deal. He was in a coma, and when he became conscious, he was terrified that he had lost his music ability. And eventually they brought a clavinet to him, and he was very apprehensive, but he started tapping on it, and he still had it.
That's awesome.
But this event is very important to Stevie and really affected him. His album after Innervisions, Fulfilling Mrs. First Finale, overall it has a lot more dark tone.
What a confusing title.
I know. I don't even know if I'm saying it right. But it has a darker tone, partially because of that event.
Wow.
Yeah, so, and apparently I saw a video that his first live performance after the accident was a surprise at an Elton John concert.
Wow.
Elton was like, I have a
Nice.
friend, he was in an accident and he's back.
He was in an accident.
Yeah, and everyone knew right away who was talking about, and when Stevie came on, they gave him like a 15-minute standing ovation.
Oh my God.
So,
It's beautiful.
yep. So that's Innervisions.
Innervisions.
Very,
Very good.
Very, very good.
Do you like it better than Songs in the Key of Life?
I do.
I know you like
Yeah.
that.
Songs in the Key
That
of Life
one.
is still phenomenal.
Yeah.
But I think I mentioned before, every song in here I think is just so perfectly made. Whereas some songs on Songs in the Key of Life, you go, okay, they're not as good as.
It's a double album, right?
Yeah. So of course there are gonna be some songs that aren't. It's not gonna
Yeah.
be great all the way through.
It's that uno dos tres effect.
Yeah. Good comparison right there.
Shout
Uno
out.
dos tres.
Apparently Green Day is
Sounds
releasing a new album this year.
I saw that. yeah.
Apparently.
Are you stoked?
I'm very stoked, yeah. I have high hopes.
You have high hopes. You're optimistic.
I'm optimistic, but just for myself. I really don't truly believe that it's going to be that good.
You're gonna think it's the best one. The first
When
week.
like the first week, yeah, the day it comes out, I'll wheelhouse it.
Wheelhouse it. Great. Can't wait.
Next, moving on to Gus's pick,
My pick, my very divisive pick.
which is
I forgot. Whatever.
Oh,
All
well.
right, Peasant's Quest. Here we go. Now, Texas Chainsaw Massacre Dose.
Two.
Why
Two.
did you pick this movie?
Why did I pick this movie?
Yeah.
Because I like this movie quite a bit.
Okay.
quite a bit.
Quite a bit.
Well,
Quite a bit.
I want you to.
So I knew
Yeah.
Andrew wasn't going to like it off the bat. I already knew that going in. I wasn't sure about Sterling,
Yeah.
but here's the thing about me. I love movies in the same kind of vein of Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, where there's so much wrong with this movie. There really is. I mean,
Yeah.
we'll get into it very soon, but it's a so bad it's good kind of thing for me. And I think Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 is very unique even in that category. Yeah, do you guys know what Trauma films are? Have you heard of Trauma?
What does that
of the
mean?
Trauma.
Trauma is a production company,
Okay.
and they purposely make bad films like Toxic Avenger. Have you heard of Toxic?
Someone was talking about this the other day, actually.
Mhm.
Yeah. So Toxic Avenger, and then a bunch of other shit like Thanksgiving or something. Fucking awful. But I think Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 is what Trauma films always wanted to be.
Mhm.
Because for me, I don't really like Trauma films because they're purposely bad. Whereas I think actual so bad it's good kind of things are when it's intended not to be bad. It's intended to be good.
Gotcha.
But in the case of Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, I don't think anyone gave a shit. I don't know like the production history,
Mhm.
but like
That's what I was about to ask.
'Cause, I mean,
I don't
Tobe-
think
No.
I don't think anyone cared. Even like so Tobe Hooper, who also
Yeah.
directed the first one. The first one is like am I correct in saying that?
Yes.
Yeah.
He like that's a horror masterpiece.
It is.
And then
Yeah.
12 years later, he releases a sequel that has very little to do with the original, other than like
There's some callbacks.
character names. There's callbacks.
And
and
Franklin.
whatnot. It's
Spoilers.
billed as a black comedy. This is definitely not a horror movie
Mhm.
at all. I would say it's like dark in tone.
There's some tense sequences.
There are some
Yeah.
tense sequences, but like Leatherface is not a threatening character in this film.
No, he's
He's a
actually a
big-
romantic interest.
He's a romantic. He's a big doofus.
Yeah, he's docile.
He's very docile.
Yeah.
Whereas in Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, like when Kirk is running.
Oh, in
toward-
one, you mean?
Oh yeah, sorry.
No, you're good.
In the first one, where Kirk is running down the foyer or whatever and then Leatherface comes out and hits him in the head with a hammer.
Yeah, like the door slams.
Yeah. That
so spooky.
that's a very effective horror scene.
Mhm.
And I only think there's even one kind of scare in this movie, and that's in like the radio station before Leatherface
room.
and the light flips on, and then Leatherface comes out with his chainsaw. And
Oh yeah, his entrance is awesome.
Yeah, that was scary.
That was pretty great. But So this is. For me, this is a challenging film. Even watching this last time, it was still challenging for me so I watched this movie before college, probably in the last 5 years. I don't know. I don't remember what grade I was in or whatever, but I wasn't a film student at the time. In fact, it was at a time where here, little known thing about me. I used to say that I didn't like watching movies. I liked the content of movies.
That's such a Gus thing to say.
But I didn't like spending the time to watch the movies. And so yeah, I wasn't...
This got you into film? Texas Chainsaw 2?
Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 got me in... No, not really. But I've always been like a slasher movie fan. Slasher movies aren't good for the most part. There's very few examples, one being Texas Chainsaw Massacre 1.
Scream.
Scream. I love Scream.
Awesome, yeah.
And like Halloween 1.
Still haven't seen that.
Halloween 2 I actually like quite a bit also. Anyway, I'll get back to the
Young
topic
Gus,
at hand.
Slash and thrash.
Yeah. Oh my god, yeah. Totally true.
Yeah.
But
mostly trash.
But mostly trash.
Got 'em.
No, I would never like say this is a good movie. And I wouldn't recommend it to many people. I would recommend it to people who like the kind of so bad it's good kind of feel. Because this movie does not take itself seriously at all.
Yeah. I was telling you throw logic out the window in like the first 10 minutes.
Yeah. It's absolutely gone. Like,
When,
at the
like,
beginning, it's just these two obnoxious... I guess they were teenagers or young adults in a car.
Yeah, frat guys.
Frat dudes, and they're driving across the country. The main character works in a radio station, and she and they call in, and they're like, "Oh, I don't even remember what they were doing. What they were going to a
They're going to Texas OU weekend. They're driving to Texas OU
Yeah,
weekend.
this takes place in our local area, DFW area, and I don't know what DFW was like in the '80s, but it makes it look like absolute shit. But yeah, so I guess when I originally watched this movie, I hadn't seen the first one. I think this was...
Whoa.
If I'm not mistaken, I watched this one first.
Damn.
So I didn't have any sort of, like...
Basis of comparison.
Yeah.
So when you saw the first one, you're like, oh, I'm ready to have a good laugh. And then you were
No,
destroyed.
not at all. Not at all.
Okay.
No. I didn't even know what to expect going into this movie. Yeah, so there are a lot of terrible things, like the soundtrack, for example. The music is fucking terrible.
I love the music.
It's super
I know.
80s.
In the bad way. In the bad way.
Yes,
Yeah.
that is what I mean, though. That is why I like this movie so much.
Them 80s drums just kill me every time.
Even like for an 80s movie, they just sound so... It just sounds so cheap. And it sounds like a soundtrack to like an N64 game, which I know came out 10 years later, but... I don't know. Movie soundtracks from the 80s, I think, have aged better in comparison to this movie, at least most movies. Yeah. But Tobe Hooper actually had a part in the creation of the soundtrack.
Wow.
At least the non-diegetic soundtrack sounds cheap. When they actually have like music playing in the studio, it sounds like it's there and it sounds fine and whatnot.
Yeah.
Some of the sound. Oh, sorry.
Was this an expensive movie? Like presumably.
So I wanted. Yeah, I wanted to know, was this like super low budget?
So the estimated budget according to IMDb is $4,700,000.
Which
It's
I think,
a lot more than the first one.
which I think at the time was pretty par for the course.
Okay.
And it grossed about double that in the U.S.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh my God! Why'd you do that? That's not your property.
Oh.
Anyway.
Well, now there's evidence.
Everyone forget what just happened.
You made me lose my train of thought. Oh yeah, some of the sound effects also hilariously bad. Like the little car horn. Sounds straight out of a cartoon. In fact, this movie I would call very cartoony. But with everything that's bad in this movie, I think there are a few instances where a sort of a brilliance shines through, so to speak.
Like
so
true
bad
brilliance?
so bad it's brilliant.
Or true brilliance.
No, actual moments where it made me like I actually liked the decision making that they did.
Okay.
One being Chop Top's introduction. I think Chop introduction is great. I think he's hilarious for
Is
the
that
most
in
part.
the studio.
In the studio.
Yeah.
I think he's hilarious for the most part, except later on, sometimes he just keeps repeating the same line, and it gets kind of grating after a while.
Yeah.
But in the sound studio, yeah, he just kind of... So Stretch hears, like, glass break,
Yeah.
and then she goes to investigate, and then there's Chop Top in a dark room.
Yeah.
And Chop Top is this, like, disgusting,
Deranged
hippie.
So he's not meant to be the guy from the first one who encounters the kids in the van and cuts his hand and stuff.
That's... As far as I'm concerned, no, but
Okay.
that's actually a very interesting thought.
That's what I assumed because he's a different actor.
It is a different
Okay.
actor, I believe.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he's this just gross-looking hippie Vietnam War veteran with a metal plate in his head that he keeps like messing with.
The part's so gross.
I
He's
know.
always, like picking at like the skin.
Yeah,
around
he
it.
has a little hanger.
And
that
what's
he
cool
keeps
is you don't know
burning.
what he's doing at first, and then
Yeah,
later
yeah.
it's
You
revealed
get,
he has
like, a
this metal
close-up.
plate. Yeah.
It's nasty.
And then so in his introduction, he's like he's talking to Stretch and telling her how big of a fan he is and whatnot, and she's just creeped out by him.
Yeah.
And then he asks her to give him a tour of the sound studio, and she just quickly in the room they're in be like, here's the lamp, here's the
desk.
here's the
Yeah.
desk,
Here's some papers.
here's some papers. Yeah. And so I really like that part because I think
Yeah.
that is an legitimately funny scene, because the entire time that she's saying things, he's just like, oh yeah, oh yeah, like Beavis and Butthead almost. And Stretch, the actress who plays Stretch is not the greatest actress in the world.
I thought she was good.
She's not that bad.
You didn't think she was that bad?
No.
I thought there were times. It's probably just what she was given to work with. It's probably very hard to work with. But sometimes where she was supposed to look frightened and whatnot, it just came off as very artificial, like she
Yeah.
wasn't.
I mean, that might be true, but in the context of the film, to me, it fit in. So I was like, oh, it works,
Yeah.
you know? She definitely got them screams down.
She does. She definitely has that going
Yeah.
for her. Her accent kind of grates on me a little bit.
Yeah.
This
Texas.
is, this is a very southern movie.
Yeah.
I think the whole radio station scene, minus one part, which is my least favorite part of the movie, and
I
you can probably think of what I'm thinking.
Probably
of.
my least favorite part too.
I guess we'll go into that. But yeah, I really like the radio station stuff.
Yeah, I like that. I like that part too.
But there's a part in the radio station. So it's after Leatherface
Appears.
reveals
Yeah.
himself, and he chases Stretch, and it's she locks herself in a room, but he eventually gets in by breaking through a wall. And then, so she's like pinned up against the wall, and he's I guess she out of the blue figured, oh, maybe I should try to appeal to his sensitive
Seduce
side.
him.
And so she was like, I know you're good. I know you're good. So it was just really weird. And then he took the chainsaw, which is off at this point, and he like slides it up her leg
Yeah.
towards her crotch. It's a very uncomfortable scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And not like, I think there are uncomfortable scenes in this movie that are like kind of funny in a way and whatnot. This was not one of them. This was just kind of like,
Yeah,
why'd
this
they
is like
do
in
this?
Haunted House 2, you know, where
Oh my God, yes.
Marlon Wayans or whoever like fucks Annabelle from The Conjuring for like 10 minutes.
That's one of the worst scenes I've ever seen in a movie. I don't think it's as bad as that.
So here's what I'm wondering, because you keep saying in the context of this movie, or you can accept something in the context of this movie. So are you looking at it that it's like they tried to make a bad movie? Is that what you mean? Or like how you're viewing it is that it's bad?
Well, mostly
so
how
you can-
I'm viewing it.
Okay.
But one major point I think I could use to illustrate this in talking about that awkward scene is that there's a lot of subtext going on, but it's very overt, and it is. It's with the sort of using violence as a proxy for sexual gratification.
That's a lot of horror stuff.
But in here, it is like in your face,
Yeah.
and literally.
Leatherface is like, ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's like,
Yeah, he's licking his lips.
Which I
Jesus
appreciated
fucking
how
Christ.
they decided this is something we're going to do, and they stuck with it all the way. And it was, for me, kind of fun to pick out, okay, even though it was kind of easy, like, okay, this line of dialogue is sort of like double entendre for sex. And there's a lot of that, like, sex or the Saul, that line.
Yeah.
yeah.
when Leatherface leaves, after that awkward scene, Leatherface leaves and reunites with Chop Top, and he asks Leatherface, "Did you get her good?" Which again is sort of like double entendre for sex. Yeah. There's a whole idea of impotence, where the grandpa's a one-hit wonder, but now he can't do it anymore.
Didn't think about that.
Chainsaw to the crotch later on.
Chainsaw to the crotch later on. Yep.
And then back to that awkward scene. Leatherface, I guess he couldn't sort of finish, so he gets really mad and storms out.
Yeah. I thought that was more like he needed to make ruckus to
that's
convince
what I originally
Chop Top.
thought.
Yeah.
But I mean, maybe it does have something to play in that. Maybe
that's all very very believable.
And there's also some homosexual implications too, which I
think he did saw him in the ass.
Yeah,
pretty sure.
We should start talking about Dennis Hopper's
Dennis
character.
Hopper,
Lieutenant Enright, also known as Lefty.
Actually, the worst actor in this movie, I thought.
I think Dennis Hopper didn't care, and yeah, exactly. I think it worked for the movie. At one point, he just up and goes crazy.
Yeah.
So eventually at a point, he and Stretch get into I don't know, what's their name?
It's like a dungeon.
What's their family's name?
Do they have a name?
I don't know. Did they?
The Hillbilly family.
The Hillbilly family that eats people.
Sawyer.
The Sawyer family.
They make it into their lair, which is also one of my favorite things about this movie. Yeah. I love the setting of their lair.
The set design is great.
It's
it's a haunted house.
Yes. It's so cool. It reminds me of like a level in a video game or something.
Yeah.
But they get separated and whatnot. But anyway, so when Dennis Hopper enters, he just up and goes crazy and starts destroying support beams around the
bring it all down.
Yeah. But yeah, you're absolutely right. He probably is one of the worst actors in the movie. Because I don't think he cared at all.
Other than the chainsaw salesman, the guy who sold him the chainsaw, that part was so weird.
I love that scene.
He buys the chainsaw or he takes the chainsaw and just kind of leaves him some money. Goes outside and starts sawing that tree.
Staring at him.
And then you get all these weird close-ups of the old guy muttering, you can't even tell what he's saying. He's like, hey.
That's one of the best parts of the movie.
I love that scene. It's so
too.
funny.
That was the first I was already kind of 10 minutes in, you have a car chase with the chainsaw with Leatherface on top of the
truck,
behind Grandpa or some corpse, right? 10 minutes in, I was like, this is fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
I don't know. I already knew what was going on, but I was not able to accept it. And up at this point with the old guy, I was like, now it feels just like a bad movie when it got to that. Because I don't know. It felt like bad editing. It felt and I don't think it was purposeful. I really don't think it was.
I don't think it was either.
So I can't accept it.
But it adds to the charm.
And that is why I like it.
I would definitely watch it again. I'm not denying that.
And beyond that, there's some great shots, some great framing and whatnot, and then sometimes it's just horrible.
Yeah, he was really natural in the first one. In the 1974 one is so natural.
It's awesome.
It's unique. And there's all those those wide shots that every time I see that I'm like, that's Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Yeah. But this one, nothing original about it at all, except
it's very conventional.
Yeah,
I think
mainstream.
I think when they're in the lair, I think there are some cool shots because the lair just kind of there's a big tunnel that just stretches as far as the eye can see, and it's at a cool angle. And But yeah, for the most part, it's pretty typical. Not even typical. I think it's film student level at some points. What's puzzling to me is I wonder who is in charge of the budget and decided what goes into what, because so at the beginning when it's those two dipshits in the car, they get killed. One of them has their part of the top of their head sawed off at an angle so the head slides and blood spurts, and I thought that looked pretty good. And then so there's a character named LJ who works with Stretch.
Yeah.
And when Leatherface and Chop Top break in, Chop Top supposedly kills him. He hits him in the head with a hammer a billion times, and then he's dead. You think. And then when Stretch accidentally falls down this conveniently placed pit into this room with a bunch of dismembered bodies and whatnot. LJ is there, and
LG.
LG is there, and
LG.
He gets his face and big pieces of his skin flayed off by Leatherface. but he is still alive
Yes.
after all that.
I yelled, "How is he not dead?"
Not only that, but his makeup for his now skinless face just looks like they got some ketchup packets and just rubbed it on his face.
Put it on his actual face.
It looks terrible.
I like he like sits up and he like spits. Like it's
Yeah.
yeah.
It's pretty funny.
That whole scene in that room is so bizarre. So Leatherface is there and he flays the dude.
Yeah.
And then he discovers that Stretch is in there.
Yep.
And so she's begging him to be like, help me get out of here. And so he puts LG's face on her.
Yeah.
And then starts dancing with her, which I forgot that happened. So when I saw it this time around, I just burst out laughing. I thought that was so funny because it's just so.
It's really weird.
It's so absurd, and in a way, it is very dark because she's terrified. You're in this room with a bunch of dismembered corpses and whatnot, and Leatherface puts the skin mask on her and then starts dancing around with her. It's so weird, and it's so like Looney Tunes, but oh god,
it's gross.
I thought it was.
But for me, that scene went back to going back to that symbolism, that Leatherface sort of dressing someone for that song and dance ritual before sex.
Before sex.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, Leatherface leaves, and then so LG is still alive, and so Stretch is tied up, and so LG gets up, even though he's horribly disfigured and flayed and whatnot, and then. When he has the knife and he's like about to cut it, I thought he was gonna like kill her or something.
Yeah, I think they wanted
Because
to look like that.
The music led you to think that
Yeah,
he was
yeah.
very dramatic.
And then
cuts the rope. Music just decides to go away.
but that wouldn't even make sense. Like, why would we think that LG would kill her in any other situation?
Honestly, I'm not. It doesn't
Well,
surprise me that. I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised.
He did get bashed in the head with a hammer a billion times. So
a
who knows?
billion
True,
times,
yeah.
but without his head ever caving in or anything.
Yeah.
like
He
that.
got that tree stump to the face treatment, like
Oh no!
like Mr. Stevie.
But
messed up.
But that instance where he saves her, and then I thought that was an instance where it's actually like, it's actually kind of emotional in a way, because he is horribly. Now hear me out, Andrew, because he is horribly disfigured and about to die, and so. I thought the actors did a pretty good job of making the scene kind of touchy. LG, and then
I love you.
He falls on his ass and says shit, and then dies.
You're about to let out a tear and then suck back in.
Just when you think they're going somewhere, nope, it gets you right back in. But yeah. So.
And then it gets even crazier with the
It gets to the kind of like the penultimate scene where they're in that dining
dinner,
room.
which is a callback to the
Callback
original.
to the first one.
And that for me that made it ineffective. Like I was watching it, I was like, "This is almost the exact same thing." Of course, she doesn't know that because she wasn't there.
So the first
she's
one
screaming.
in the first movie, this scene is very effective because it's disturbing.
Probably the scariest scene from a movie ever, in my opinion.
It's definitely disturbing.
It's brutal. Yeah.
In this film, I thought it was making fun of itself at this scene. I thought because they give the old man the hammer and whatnot, and he keeps like trying
Which
to
is
hit it.
identical. To
Yeah.
The first one.
But it's just shot in a way that I thought was like really funny looking. And then Dennis Hopper comes in.
He jumps down.
down.
And in
doesn't he say something?
In the background, there are like colored lights and mist, and you hear those 80s jump like dun 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 dun.
So the Phil Collins drum solo comes in.
Phil Collins, oh god. And then he slices the dude's butt.
Mm-hmm.
Kills. Well, I guess
And
he doesn't
then
kill Leatherface, but he
chainsaw
stabs Leatherface.
duel.
Yes, chainsaw duel.
I knew that was going to happen. Like from the beginning of this movie,
Oh, yeah.
I knew there was going to be a
Yes,
chainsaw.
you know
sword
what
fight.
the scene when Stretch is running from Leatherface down the tunnel?
Yes.
And then that scene comes in where he, like Lefty's like swinging his chainsaw. I'm like, chainsaw duel, but it ends up he's just hitting one of those support barriers.
I wanted to mention that. I thought that was hilarious because you think he's gonna like save her, but he actually just like traps her.
I yelled like, no, I wanted a chainsaw duel, but I got it, so I was happy.
But yeah, so you got a chainsaw duel, and then who pulls the pin? Who blows themselves up? Is it do that?
the dad, like the old man.
Yeah.
So
right.
the cook.
He
the
gets
chili winner.
He gets so his chili is human.
Yeah.
But he gets
Soylent Green.
cut in the butt, and then he hides
in the butt.
and then has a grenade and pulls the pin, and then presumably kills
Everyone.
him practically everyone except Stretch and
Chop
Top. And then Chop Top chases Stretch, and then they suddenly appear in this like canyon-esque place.
That reminded me of Wind Waker. Is what it
That
reminded me
reminded you of Wind Waker.
I can't remember which boss it is, but there's one. Yeah, the guy
Dragon
with the
Roost?
giant. The guy with the giant hands. He's like a floating.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And
You
you
got
got
him?
up the stairs.
Yeah,
to-
something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, yeah, they're at this top of this like rock structure, and then there's the shrine with this
With Grandma.
with
right?
Grandma corpse.
Mm-hmm.
And the golden chainsaw.
Yeah. And then again, I think there's another scene where it like starts trying to get more serious in tone because Chop's Top starts like screaming and getting angry and everything, and then she
Cuts his neck.
She cuts his neck, and then like what does she push him out or does he fall out on his own?
I think she
stumbles
chainsaws
backwards.
him,
Mm-hmm.
and I think he stumbles back.
Stumbles back,
Yeah,
yeah.
probably.
So he falls out, and so it's like, oh yeah, wow. But then she starts doing these crazy
The dance.
the chainsaw dance, and it's just so dumb looking.
Yeah. And it zooms out, and she's on the structure.
That's a
spinning
weird
around.
final shot.
I thought it
It
was
is, yeah.
the perfect.
I did not think that was the ending.
I thought it was the perfect ending to this weirdo movie.
Yeah.
So yeah, I know this isn't a good movie, but this is like even when it was released, it was horribly panned by critics and whatnot. I'm sure a bunch of people were pissed because they loved the original,
Yeah.
and this has nothing to do with it. But they should have known going in with a Breakfast Club-esque movie poster for it.
That's hilarious.
However, we watched the trailer before recording this, and it makes it seem like an actual horror film,
Yeah.
which it is not. But I definitely in the camp of the cult following, so to speak, because I think this is a very entertaining movie. So yeah.
I've got a question for you. Something I was wondering last time that I almost forgot about, but I want to ask real quick.
Okay.
Is there a difference between black and dark comedy?
I never thought so.
Okay. I think we looked it up and it said that there wasn't.
Yeah, on
something-
Wikipedia they're considered the same.
synonyms. Okay. I always assumed that a black comedy was like so dark that it's funny, but a dark comedy is like black comedy is like absurdly dark. So like this is pretty horrific and it's kind of gory also.
Mm-hmm.
Like so much of that it's funny, but I always thought like a dark comedy was like more in the screenplay, like Fargo. So it's like the humor itself is dark, But I guess both of those fall under the same umbrella, so it doesn't really matter now.
I always consider them the same term. Synonymous, if you will.
So that's why I was wondering, is this
a black or a dark?
Is this a black comedy?
Well, if
using both of them as the same word.
if you used your like definition where so like black comedy is like
Oh, yeah.
dark, so disturbing that it's funny, or it like includes humor in subjects that shouldn't be humorous, so
Yeah.
to speak, then yeah, I would put that in that, because when you dwell on it, it shouldn't be funny. Because this is like, there are these cannibals, these horrible human beings that are like taking people, murdering them, and then serving them back out to people. It's a really fucked up situation and whatnot. But I don't know. It's just shot in a way. So what was it, Monday? Helen, I guess you watched it with Helen.
Yeah.
Horrible idea. Sorry, Helen. She was like, why did you choose this movie? And I was like, I was laughing the whole way through. I think it's a funny movie. And then you were like, do you think it was funny on purpose? I think there are a lot of parts that are funny on purpose, and I think there are a lot of parts that aren't funny on purpose. I just think it works. I don't think it was planned. I think it was just kind of an accident, a perfect storm, so to speak. So yeah.
What's weird is that I agree with you mostly, except I was so close to the edge of it being so bad it's good, but I wasn't quite there.
Wasn't quite there?
Yeah, I think for me it doesn't nail the tone.
The tone is all over the place.
Which for me, like, knowing kind of it's sort of not taking itself seriously, comedic in a sense, one indicator for me was I felt like I didn't laugh enough. There was just, you talk about there's some parts where they're intentionally funny, unintentionally funny. For me, I didn't know the whole time through what I was supposed to feel, and that kind of made me conflicted. And there was never a part where it never clicked. Okay, I'm getting it now. Now I know that it's on one path to be so bad it's good, or it's a path to be, there's some moments of good and bad.
Just bad.
I totally get that.
So
no, I can totally understand that.
I mean, the whole time watching it, I felt like it just needed one more push, and I could have fell in love with it. I was just waiting for it, but I just never caught. I thought the chainsaw duel would have done it, but it didn't. So
yeah, the chainsaw duel was short. It was disappointingly short.
Yeah,
I think it should have gone like Star Wars Episode 3, fucking 45-minute duel at the end.
Some lava.
Yeah, they should have had lava.
I'm surprised there wasn't.
Yeah,
or the chili pouring down, flooding the.
Like that one part where all like the intestines and stuff like pour on the wall, like the wall's like bleeding or something weird like that.
I wish that there was more stuff like that in their lair. It was just
more booby traps,
just immense blood and whatnot. But that's pretty much it, other than like the room with dismembered bodies.
Yeah, like skeletons and like bodies hanging and stuff.
Yeah. So yeah, I knew this was going to be a difficult film to get behind, especially Sterling. Texas Chainsaw is one of his tippity tops.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
Fuck
that movie.
I don't. This isn't like something. It was not hilarious to me, but it was very interesting, and I would definitely show people it.
Yeah.
I would watch it again with people and be like just watch this. Just watch this.
Whole time watching. This is very interesting.
Yeah.
I haven't ever seen a movie like it.
That's fair to say. I can say that.
It is very unique.
Yeah, especially because
weirdness.
it's contrasted with the first film.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think maybe it was on purpose, because there's no way this stark of a contrast could have been.
I think it was intentional that they wanted to make a black comedy.
Okay.
But I think I don't know if they were just making this film for money purposes or what. I need to maybe get like a Blu-ray or DVD copy and look at like making of behind the scenes type stuff. But yeah, to say it's a black sheep would be an understatement. It is weird. But it's not like Texas Chainsaw 3, which is truly just a bad movie.
Dang.
Yeah.
Excellent. No.
Excellent.
Felt like I talked for an hour straight.
No, Gus, a lot of people come to us and we ask them, what are some things we can improve on the show? A lot of people say Gus should talk more.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
True
oh,
fact.
Cool.
This is their episode.
Well, you got your fill.
Let's see if Gus will talk
not
a
on
lot.
Innervisions.
Yeah.
No, and now they're not.
To
Yeah, now I got a fucking story to tell. Okay.
On our final topic, Sterling's recommendation, the video game Peasant's Quest.
Peasant's Quest. Should I just go right into it,
Please,
or do you want to like introduce?
No, there's nothing to say about it. It's like a computer video game. It's like a flash game made by the people who made Homestar Runner, like 2004, 2006, or something like that. And Gus
has a
story
to tell.
As he does every time we suggest a video game.
Apparently. So I started playing it, and everything was going fine. A little confusing, like what to do. I didn't know like I was supposed to like grab pebbles and shit. So yeah, I started using a guide at Sterling's request. All right. Actually, I wanted to ask that, but I'll ask that later. So eventually you get to this part, and it's really early on, where you have to play this like archery mini game.
Yeah.
And so, and what you have to do, you have to get 3 bullseyes. And so apparently the controls are weird. I didn't really get to experience the weird controls because, so I started out, and so it says arrow keys to move, and spacebar to shoot. Mm-hmm. And what you have is you have this little meter where there's 2 arrows, one on the left side, one on the right, and then you try to stop them on the red bar, I assume. Yeah. And so the spacebar, totally fine. But I was confused because, so when I hit the arrow keys, the bow didn't move. So I thought maybe it moves the arrow when you shoot it, because there's this wind sort of component to it, and so I thought like after you shot it, you're supposed to like hold the weight and whatnot. And there were times when I thought that was actually working, like I was getting close to the middle, and then sometimes when I would press, like the wind is blowing left, and I would press right, and the arrow just shoots far right, and I was like, what the fuck? And so I spent, probably like, I don't know, 10 minutes, 15 minutes doing that. And then I was like, okay, I can't do this. I need the guide. And so the guide told me it was like, line up the arrow with the blue, like a
the blue edge.
Yeah, the blue edge. And I was like, what are you fucking talking about? How do you do that? And so I looked up a video walkthrough.
Oh my god!
And in the video walkthrough, immediately he starts moving the bow, and I was like, "What the hell? I can't move the bow." And so I was like, "All right, maybe it just glitched." And this is early on, so I played through the game again up to that point, and it didn't fucking work again. So I couldn't get any farther in the game because I couldn't do anything.
What?
So yeah.
Do you have a hypothesis to why that is?
I thought maybe it was because I was on a Mac or something. I don't know. Because
We
you
use
guys played
Macs.
on Macs, yeah.
What
So-
browser do you use?
I was using, what do I use? I use Safari.
Chrome.
Chrome.
That's where you screwed up.
I don't know.
But it didn't make sense because the spacebar worked just fine.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
you move with the arrows the rest of the
Yes.
game. Yeah.
And that worked just fine.
Whoa.
But when I got, both times, when I got up to the arrow part, I started
So-
like slamming all of the keyboard. Maybe it was like A and B or something.
But did you
Nothing
even
worked.
use the arrows before hitting space?
Yes.
Okay, good. That's what I thought you were saying.
No.
Originally.
No.
What the-
I tried everything.
So in summary, you didn't beat the game.
I didn't beat the game,
Damn.
which sucks because I was actually kind of enjoying it.
Dang it.
I liked it.
Damn.
But someone else said they didn't enjoy it so much.
I'm surprised. I thought it was going to be the other way around.
No.
What'd you think? What was your experience?
So I played it.
Yeah.
Got to the end. Had to use a guide a lot. I guess the nail in the coffin for me is if I look back at my experience and I ask myself, did I have fun? And the answer to that is no.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm astonished.
I thought this would have been your kind of thing.
No.
Same. I thought this was right up Andrew's alley.
It has that like quirky, absurd humor that
Yeah,
Andrew
exactly,
loves
yeah.
so much, and then it's a text-based quest type deal.
So this game, I think it's minimalist to a fault. It is trying to, hark back to those old Sierra games like Police Quest, King's Quest,
And Atari,
Leisure Suit Larry. All
Atari
the-
at least in like
Yeah.
visuals.
Mhm.
And because of that, you have, lack of sound effects and music, simplistic graphics, which isn't bad in and of itself. It's just, in this day and age, it's very dated, and I don't think it holds up very well.
This is quite an old game, isn't it?
At least 10 years.
Yeah.
When you talk about me liking the writing, I did not.
Wow.
I did not laugh a single time through any of the
Wow.
writing.
I didn't think it was like laugh out loud.
I didn't
kind
chuckle
of,
a single time.
But
That's crazy.
To me, the writing felt very childish at times.
all the time.
It had like an affectation of humor where I felt like some middle school kid was like, "Oh, this is a kind of fun
I can
idea
see
making
that,
this
yeah.
game."
Well, that's their demographic, really.
And
The Homestar,
rumor.
yeah.
it was super forced, and it was really grating also
Man.
because it was like, "Oh, stop the game. We want to write something funny here," but it wasn't, and it kept on doing that.
Damn.
So yeah, going back to it being minimalist, it's like gameplay wise, it's still like a vestige of old point and click games where a lot of it is just straight up trial and error, where there's like very little logic to the puzzles.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how are you supposed to figure out to pick up those pebbles? How are you supposed to figure out to move that rock from the hut?
That is one of my
How are you
few
supposed to figure out to
complaints.
throw the baby into the lake? Like, there's no hints for any
I
of
looked
this.
Yeah.
on the guide thing. It said that was an optional thing for like points. Throw the baby into the lake.
Oh, well, okay. Well, how are you supposed to know that anyway?
So
Um,
to eat your own words, Andrew.
I'm sorry.
No, I'm just kidding.
But yeah, the main form of gameplay is navigating the world, solving puzzles, but all the puzzles are arbitrary.
Yeah.
So I never felt like I was learning. I wasn't getting better at the game. I just felt like I was hitting a wall all the time, and then they'd try to be funny, and it just pissed me off even more.
One of my complaints that I could possibly have
Yeah.
from my short time with this game, I wish you could walk faster, and I wish I could hold the button because I don't know
You gotta,
why.
like, press it once.
You have
or
to press
whatever.
it once.
Yeah, that is kind of.
And I don't
annoying.
know why, but I just want to keep either keep pressing it or like hold it,
Mm-hmm.
and you can't do that.
Yeah.
Again, going back to that sort of old school style. one thing I did like is that the guys wouldn't know. There's 3 main sections of the game.
Yeah.
Where once
know
you
that.
so the goal of the game is to be a peasant, which entails smelling like a peasant, dressing like one, and
Being on fire like
one. And every time you accomplish one of these goals, something happens in the game world that changes it. I think the first time it rains.
Yeah.
So some parts of the map change to reflect that. And then after the second chapter, you go to sleep. And when you wake up, again, things have changed. So I felt, okay, there has been a drastic shift in the game world. I feel like I could go back out and maybe there are new things to discover.
Yeah.
Other than that, yeah, it overall just felt like a chore to get through.
Yeah. So playing it again after probably almost 10 years, one thing that I was surprised by that I don't remember being the case was the lack of music.
Mm-hmm.
That thing, for some reason I remember there being music, but it was quiet. So I listened to Stevie Wonder while I played. Like,
I did too.
I was upset by that. I was like, it's so like empty feeling. You know
Except
what I mean?
those Carrick screams.
Oh yeah, every time he comes on, like
It's like a jump scare every time.
I got killed immediately by that fucking
Really?
thing. Yeah, like
Yeah.
3 minutes into the game.
Hits you on the
what
head.
The hell? But except at the very beginning of the game, there's this little tune that they play, obnoxious. So I almost like
like on the start screen or whatever.
start screen through like the opening cinematic,
Yeah,
so to
yeah.
speak.
It's like really high-pitched.
Yeah. Very Atari.
I'm trying to think. I had something else.
Oh, I wanted to ask, when you
Yeah.
played this originally when you were younger, did you use a guide?
Yes.
then?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
So that's something that Andrew brings up that I think is pretty important to note when talking about this game. Is that you're right? A lot of the things like I had no idea. Like, first of all, the bush. So you had to check in all the bushes or whatever.
Mhm.
That I was like, how was I supposed to know?
Yeah.
Or like, you got to scare the horse, or like you got to cover yourself in mud and get into that hay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't have known how to do that without the guide.
It's
honestly.
illogical.
Yeah.
Which I guess, again, back in the day, or so I've heard, when you have just like a couple games and you're a kid and you have all the time in the world, you can go to every single location and say, look at everything, or take
Yeah,
everything,
yeah.
and try all that.
There's some funny little messages. Did you get any of the funny ones if you like mess around, just type some silly stuff in?
Oh, yeah. If you type die, you die. Yeah.
Or like if you type get something and you can't get it, it's
Mhm.
like, I bet you'd like to get that.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
That's good.
So,
Peasant's Quest. That's about it.
I wouldn't recommend it to someone else, but I'm sorry.
I really thought you would like it. That's
no.
a letdown. I like it less playing it again, but I still feel like it's got some like, I don't know. I find parts of it humorous, and I would definitely recommend it to someone who's like, yeah, give me like a quick like hour-long game to play. I'd be like, yeah, just
Well,
do
if you use
this.
a guide,
Oh, I actually have
yeah.
another question.
What's up?
So, is that archery game hard even with the controls?
I was about to tell you about my or I almost forgot to tell you about my archery experience. With the controls, so hard. I looked up and the guy said the thing about the blue edges, and I probably spent 15 minutes trying to actually beat it, and for a while I was getting no hits. And then the very last time I played it, I used every single one I shot. I hit the bullseye, and I was like, "Are you serious?" So yeah, super hard
I think the game
minigame.
notes that's like the hardest part of the game. Is that
Yeah.
Is that true?
It's annoying, but I would say the hardest part, if you weren't using a guide, would just be figuring everything
Oh,
out.
well, yeah, that's true.
the whole game.
Yeah,
Do you fight Trogador?
he kills you. And that's
What?
the end.
That's
Spoilers.
the,
Yeah,
what?
it's really sad. Spoilers.
Oh my
As
God.
always, it
And
says
I was
something
like, you died, but you still won.
However, yeah, now that might actually like annoy me. There's no like payoff.
No, not at all. It's pretty sad.
Very sad.
That's pretty much it. You do all this work for nothing.
Okay.
Play an
What a-
upsetting game.
What a week of
Oh, I thought you
disappointment.
were going to say
Damn.
waste of time.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Except Stevie, but for once Andrew offered.
Andrew came
something.
through,
Andrew
yeah.
came through.
What?
Yeah.
Thank God.
You didn't like Device 6?
Device 6.
Other frustrating
No,
video
no. What was the
games.
one you said? What was the one you pitched after Device 6?
Another game?
It was the one where you kept having to go back.
Save the date.
Save
Save
the
the
date.
date,
That is
yeah.
infinitely more frustrating.
Whatever. Anyway, those are
Anyway.
our reviews for
Woo.
today. Now, we're going to go with our recommendations. And once again, our second guest episode. So, I've already sat down and recorded with these 3 cinephiles. and they're all recommending a movie. So, first up, we have one Reese Myers, and he has a movie to recommend, and we'll play it right now. So, I am here with Reese Myers, once again in the Dining Hall. What do you have to recommend for us today?
Well, this week I have to recommend the first part of a trilogy written and directed by the wonderful Richard Linklater. And this is called the Before Trilogy. And the first part is called Before Sunrise, which takes place and written in 1995. And the film was written by Richard Linklater and Kim Krazan. And it's based off something real that happened to Richard Linklater. And this is a very fascinating film because one of the interesting things about it is I could tell you the whole plot in less than 3 sentences, or maybe even 1 sentence. But even if I tell you the plot, it won't ruin the movie at all. The movie, you'll have to see why.
So what are some general plot stuff, like maybe some of the characters and a little bit of the setup?
It's mainly 2 characters,
Yeah.
played by Ethan Hawke and Julie Delpy.
Yeah.
Ethan Hawke plays a guy named Jesse, who's an American, and Julie Delpy, who is French, plays a French student. And they meet on a train bound for Vienna, and that's all I'll tell you about it. I mean, I could tell you the whole thing, but
Yeah.
the point is...
That's enough setup right there.
That's enough setup.
So when did you first watch this movie?
I first watched this a few years ago. I don't know how I learned about it. It just was something that was going to come on.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? I'll record this and watch this. And I sat down and watched it, and I was like, this might be one of the most perfect films I've ever seen.
Whoa.
I know, I don't want to give too much high praise. And then I watched the sequel like a day later.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I can't believe this is even better than the first one.
Whoa.
And then I saw the other one,
Before Midnight?
Before Midnight, a
Yeah.
couple years ago, and they surprisingly even topped Before Sunset.
When you watched Before Sunrise, Before Midnight was not out yet?
Before Midnight was not out yet.
Okay.
This is probably around 2011, 2012. Before Midnight came out in 2013. The interesting thing about these movies are the first one takes place in 1995, the second one takes place in 2004, and the third one takes place in 2013. So
Takes place and released.
It takes place and
Yeah.
released in 2013. So what's interesting about these films is you follow these 2 people every 9 years.
Yeah.
It's kind of got that Boyhood thing where you
Yeah.
watch these people age, but there's giant gaps.
Yeah. It's really, really interesting.
What makes these films so great is their scripts. The dialogue is impeccable. This might be the most beautiful romance ever put to the silver screen. I think it's better than Casablanca.
The romance or the film?
Possibly both.
Whoa.
I don't want to give. I'm
We're
already
gonna have
giving
fisticuffs.
I'm already giving too much high praise, but I think So it's not that long of a movie. It's only an hour and 45 minutes. But
Yeah, I kind of wonder how someone who watched it in 1995 and loved it, how they had to wait 9 years for the sequel, and they age as the movies and the characters age too. I think it'd be really interesting.
What's interesting about this is when they made the first movie, they didn't know they were going to make a sequel. So when you watch this movie the first time, you're going to go, oh, that was just the ending.
Yeah.
A couple of years later, they decided that they were going to make a sequel. And then they did that. And then a couple of years after that, they go, you know what, we should make a third one. So far, it's a trilogy, but so it's been 3 years since the last one came out. In 6 years, we might have a new movie.
Oh,
we might
wow.
have Before Noon or Before Dusk or something.
Yeah, so your favorite is Before Midnight, but you're just...
No, I think my favorite is Before Sunrise. I
Okay,
think the
this
most
one.
beautiful out of the trilogy is Before Sunset, and I think the best one is Before Midnight.
Okay. Interesting.
I highly suggest this film.
Yeah, I heard about the trilogy when Before Midnight came out, and I was always interested in going back and watching it.
I do have one beef with this film, and I'll tell you after we watch the movie.
Okay, sounds good. Keep that in your little back pocket there, and bring it on next week.
And a fun fact, I think all 3 movies are in the top, in IMDb's top 250.
Nice.
And they all have an average of an 8.1.
Nice.
So, if you're the type of person that values plot and action over dialogue and characters, stay away from this film. You will hate it. If you're the type of person who's I'm like a diehard type person, then you might not like this. Yeah. So.
All right. Well, we'll have you on next week to talk about it.
All right. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you, Reese, for the recommendation.
Yeah, thanks, Reese.
Asa, thanks.
We'll have him on next week when we review it before sunrise.
Rise.
That's
I
for
keep
sure,
on getting confused if it's sunrise or sunset.
Yeah, one of those things.
Yep. Next, we have Darian Fardghassemi, who's recommending another film. He is a senior at SMU and a film major. So, here is my recording of his recommendation. I am here with Darian, and you are here to recommend a movie for the podcast.
Yeah, that's true.
What is it?
I'd love to recommend the movie Badlands by Terrence Malick, 1973.
Nice.
Yeah.
Why? Why this movie? You're very passionate about this one.
Yeah, I really like this movie. I hadn't seen really any Malick movies. I'd seen Tree of Life before, and Thin Red Line, way back in the beginning of like my college career. But my friend recommended. I wasn't a really big fan of that stuff until when my friend recommended Badlands this past winter.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got a little more understanding of this Malick guy. And I don't know, not very often am I in a movie and I think, wow, I am fucking loving this movie. Can I curse?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I kind of noticed that too. Like you don't your mind isn't blown as much as you watch more movies and stuff. It happens less and less, which is kind of sad.
Yeah, exactly. Like maybe after the movie I'll think about it, or like a week later. That's how I feel about Linklater's new movie. Everybody Wants Some.
Mm-hmm.
But like after a week later, I started thinking about it.
Yeah.
But Badlands, in the middle of it, I was like, oh, I love this movie.
Yeah. So, how many Malick? Would you consider yourself a Terrence Malick fan?
I would consider myself a fan, but not an aficionado or like an expert in any means. Like I've seen a few of his movies, like once or twice.
Mm-hmm.
I like everything. I don't like everything. I like his stuff. I think he's a genius.
Really? You're a genius.
Yeah, I was doing some research for this interview, and honestly, like every single person that like talks in front of the screen about Malick, talks to the camera is saying like, this guy's a genius. He's a poet, and he really is. I saw his movie Night at Cups with Lawrence, who was interrupting earlier, and he really is getting to like the essence of like what everything needs to be, and you really like it feels like a dream, just like movies are supposed to, and he's got a real vision. I was also watching this one video where they were talking about how like he doesn't know what he's gonna do before they start shooting,
Mm-hmm.
So like he doesn't know like if he's gonna pan to the left or he's gonna move to the right, He just tells the actors like to think about a few things and then they just go do it, and he just moves himself.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because like when you have like a crew there, like at any moment he can turn around 360 degrees. So like you have to be like waiting to like jump and hide behind something, if he does something like that.
Yeah. A lot of actors want to work with him. Because he's just that kind of guy. But I don't know, where do you think he fits in like the overall film culture? Because when you think of Malick, it's like he's sort of an outlier. Like he's sort of a recluse also. Yeah. He's not very public.
Yeah.
I mean, are there any other directors that kind of fit that same role? You think, or
you mean like stylistically wise, or like his personality?
Which is like in the overall pantheon of film creators, I feel like he's a little bit sort of doing his own thing.
Yeah. I would definitely agree with that. I mean, maybe definitely doing his own thing for like the times now. Like the
he hasn't sold out.
Yeah, exactly. There's like this right now. There's like this theme of like postmodernism going on, like Tarantino and Wes Anderson like commenting on past directors and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Malick is kind of just trying to do his own thing. He's trying to get. He always says, I want to be I want it to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
So like not copy anyone else or anything. Just like. It's almost like a documentary. It's a weird combination of like narrative film and documentary film, where like the actors are actors, but they're also like these weird subjects that are like anything can happen at any moment,
Mm-hmm. So my last question, which is what I realized I should have asked at the beginning.
Yeah, go for it.
It's going to sound really awkward.
Okay.
What is Badlands about?
Okay, we can like
totally
we'll edit this.
Quick sentence. Couple sentences.
Okay, so Badlands is your classic, chase movie. Not chase, on the run movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's about this two lovers who get in a little bit of trouble, and they're traveling from small town, and I think in they start in like Nebraska, and then they go to the Badlands of Montana. I don't know where they start, but yeah. So it's an awesome movie, dude. You're gonna like it. It's Malik's first.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So I think it's his best out of the ones I've seen.
The only other Malik film I've seen is Tree of Life.
Yeah.
Saw that in the theater. And at the time, I had never heard of him because I wasn't really into film at the time.
Yeah.
But I heard there was like a lot of critical buzz about Tree of Life. Okay, I'm going to go see it. Went to this like art house near my near where I live called the Charles Theater. Went with a couple friends who were... One of them was into movies like me. One of them was not. So he was like sleeping, playing Tetris the whole time. Except when that dinosaur came out. He loved that part.
You're allowed to sleep in Malik movies, man. They're like... They make you really... They're like lullabies. They really are, man. I saw people sleeping. I went to Night of Cups. I saw people sleeping. You know?
I mean, yeah, but you pay for it. So I feel like...
Yeah, I mean, you should watch the movie, you know? But, like, I don't blame you if you fall asleep.
Okay. Hopefully we will not fall asleep during Badlands.
You won't. You won't. It's great.
All right. Thank you, Darian.
All right. Thank you.
And then Badlands.
Thank you, Darian.
Yeah. Have you guys haven't seen any Malik films?
No, I only, out of the ones you listed, I've only heard of Tree of Life.
Gus, you interested in that Malik?
Sure. I'm happy to watch it.
Experience new things.
Hey, before we listen to this last recommendation,
yeah.
Gus, take a look behind you at that wall. Do you see the soundproof stuff on the wall in this sound studio?
Yeah.
What does that spell? Can you read those letters there?
It looks like Paul McCartney's new album cover.
Well,
Not quite.
If you look closely, it spells meme.
No, it looks like me. Not meme.
So 1,000 memes.
Surrounded by memes.
Fuck memes.
You were surrounded by memes.
That's why they're saying this. I hate memes. Anyway.
Our final recommendation.
On to LJ.
LJ, who is also recommending a movie because he loves movies and he loves sharing it with people. So here we go. I am here with Lawrence Jiang, also known as LJ, also known as just L. And how are you?
I'm doing all right. Thank you.
Okay. Well, you're here because you want to recommend a movie for the podcast, which is...
What am I recommending?
You forgot?
What did we agree on?
I already told you.
What? House?
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
What? All
right.
right. So pull back the curtain a little bit. I asked Lawrence, hey, you want to recommend something for the show? He's like, yes. And then he said he'd get back to me with, a few recommendations. He sent a list of maybe 6, 7, 8 movies. I mean, this is great. We have a lot of options. Gus saw the movie House and was really enamored by it because I guess he's always wanted to see it. I had heard of it too, and I was always interested. So we're like, yeah, we'll do House. And then we tell Lawrence, and he's all grumpy pants. Well, why'd you pick House? I mean, that was the list you gave us. I
thought I was just sending the list to make sure like none of you guys have like seen any of this stuff.
Well, that too. Like if one of us had seen House, then we would have picked something else. But that was a movie that none of us have seen, and people were interested. So there you go.
I should see House, but I mean, I don't know.
Okay. First off,
can't really talk too much about House.
Why? Well, okay. First off, by the way your tone is, do you like this movie?
I liked House. It's just it doesn't really. I don't know. When I think of the movie, I don't get as excited as I do with the other movies on that list I sent you.
Well, I'm sorry, but we're going with House. So House.
All right.
So it's a Japanese horror film. Came out in 1977. Directed by Nobuhiko Obayashi. Is that right? Yes.
Yes. Well, I mean, it's good you got the pleasure of pronouncing his name.
It wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
I kind of stepped up a little bit, but yeah, I know you were kind of coy in giving a lot of details about this movie, but just the most general of backgrounds about what this movie is about.
Well, it sounds like you've done some research on it already.
Well, I actually don't know what it's about at all.
All right. Well, it's about this group of Japanese schoolgirls who go and stay at a house, and weird things happen.
Weird horror things.
Yes. That's all you really need to know. I mean, I guess you already know it's sort of a horror movie, but I mean, calling it a horror movie is a little reductive, I feel, once you have seen the whole thing. it's a little more than that.
I know. I think there's a cat, right? Because on the
there's
poster
a cat involved. Yeah, the Criterion poster is pretty great.
it is. It's amazing.
Yeah, I think I read somewhere that it was voted the #1 Criterion like poster of all time.
Yeah.
Or cover, whatever you want to call it. There's a cat involved. There's a house involved,
And Japanese people.
yeah, it's there's. When I saw it, I quite liked it, and
you said
especially the ending. The ending is quite surprising.
Ooh. But you said you saw this the first time in high school, right?
Yeah. In high school, that's sort of when I got really into
Film, cinema.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess you could say that. I mean, I was pretty interested before, but it's like a snowball, I guess. It just gets bigger and bigger as it rolls down the hill.
So the director for House, Mr. Obayashi, is there any other like notable films that he's done? Like I think this is might be his first, right? I think.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I'm not so into recommending this movie. But because I haven't seen any of his other stuff. He started as like an avant-garde artist or something like that. And then this was, I guess his first major movie. I read that the studio wanted him to make something like Jaws, and then he he sort of did that, but not really.
With House?
Yeah. They weren't expecting the movie to do well at all, but it actually did pretty well. It was very popular at the time, but it didn't really get shown in America until about the last few years or so.
Wow. Last question. Is this movie scary, in your opinion?
I'd say it's more on the haunting side, actually.
Oh, no, that's even worse, because it sticks with you.
Yeah, it definitely sticks with you. It's not like the jump scare type of movie, though. Ugh. So, but it sticks with you, but probably in not the way that you're thinking of. You know, it's not like
I can't go to sleep tonight.
No. It's not that kind of movie. It's more just like
I saw some crazy stuff that I'm never going to forget.
Yeah. It's not like really graphic or anything. In fact, it's sort of the opposite. People get really hung up on this thing called realism. I think it's a little overrated. Well, first of all, movies are not real by their very nature. But then there's this whole thing that the only thing that matters is believability and
the illusion of reality.
Yeah. And I think this director, whose last name I will not pronounce.
I'll pronounce it for you. Obayashi.
He does a very effective job at creating a believable world.
Which I think is good for horror.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Thank you, Lawrence.
Thank you, Lawrence.
Thank you,
Man, that was one hell of a pitch.
Yeah.
Thank you, Lawrence. For the record, you could have picked whatever movie you wanted. Andrew, being the authoritarian that he is, made Lawrence choose House.
Shame
Didn't even
on
tell
you.
him. Didn't even
Poor
tell him.
Lawrence. He's probably crying
poor
right
LJ,
now.
Yeah. We had a class with Lawrence last semester, but we never talked to him. So
We did?
we did.
The International Film History?
No, he was in our experimental camera. Remember?
Oh my God, yeah, and you'd always wear that Mastodon shirt.
Mastodon. Is he a Mastodon fan?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so.
What? I didn't know. He was into the sludge metal. Anyway.
Guess you guys will bond over that.
Yeah. I'm super excited. Sorry about that, LJ.
I'm super excited.
I'm super excited.
So,
Also,
Super duper.
all's well that ends well. And I just realized that's a pun I might use later in this podcast
All's well
life.
that wheels well or
Yeah,
something.
something like that. Anyway,
all's wheel that ends wheel.
we have come
There
to
we
the
go.
end of another episode of the Wheelhouse. What can you do now? You can like us on Facebook at facebook.com/wheelhousecast. Follow us on Twitter at wheelhousecast. Subscribe to our feed on iTunes, where you can also rate and review us.
You don't have to review
Still one
us.
review.
Yeah.
Yes. Finally,
I want to just stay that way. One review.
if you have any questions or want to share your own review of any of the media we're talking about, or if you want to be a guest on the show, email us at wheelhousecast@gmail.com. Thank you, Sterling. Thank you, Gus.
Thanks, Andrew.
Thanks, dude.
Thank you, man.
My name's Andrew, reminding you, 2 wrongs don't make a wheelhouse.
That's not even.
I like that one.
That's not even a pun.
It's pretty funny.
Wait, You haven't gotten the pattern by now?
No.
From these past episodes?
It's not even a pun.
Yeah, no, they're not. They're dumb.
Anyway, later.